Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome back to a little bit of Civilization 6, where we're having a great old time. We're making really good progress, and I've basically settled all of the cities that I need to settle, and now we're moving on into the mid-game. We're turn 104, and basically at this point all we have to do is to continue to build our infrastructure. We do have to make some decisions about like where certain buildings are going, where certain infrastructure is going. For example, like there's still like mines I need to place, things of that nature, but generally things are looking pretty darn good right now. I do think that haciendas fit quite well on flat grassland, but otherwise they're not very good. Because if you think about what a hacienda does, it if I build them in a triangle, okay, this tile becomes 2 food, 2 production, 2 gold, and also half a housing, which is pretty damn good, right? It's like an upgraded farm. But the problem is the lack of food, unless it's placed next to a plantation, right? Because the hacienda doesn't get the +1 food unless it's next to a plantation. So you don't want to spam them too hard, but they are good in flatland, I think. So I'm going to emphasize placing them in flatland. Although I will have to kind of consider where my food is coming from this game, because of course I am going to want food, because I'm playing a quote unquote tall game, so I want my cities to grow a bit. I think I want this to be a camp, because that would give me an extra amenity from Buenos Aires' ability. So I think building a camp here, even though I plan to actually double chop that, I think it's fine to do what I've done there. Now, one thing I don't know about Buenos Aires' ability is it possible to get multiple amenities from the same type of thing? Like if I improve a wheat over here and a wheat over here, will that get me 2 amenities in these cities? Or does it mean like if I have a wheat improved, I get 1 amenity across my empire? These are the sort of questions that I'm missing, that I don't understand, that I don't have access to. Do I want this? No, I think districts are going here. So I think I could safely chop this to speed up the city's infrastructure. And now I can actually place the theater square. And this city will be the one to get the entertainment complex. So I'll place the entertainment complex as well. It is a bit of an open question as to whether or not I want to go for the entertainment complex right now. But I definitely want to get the commercial hub at some point in here. And I think there's a pretty comfortable commercial hub location right there. Probably should have gone for that first, honestly. But now I've placed these 2 districts, so it's a little bit late. I reckon the entertainment complex is more of a scaling district. Like you want to build that when you already have yields, whereas a theater square is like a yield district. It actually gives you benefits now. Now we got our market in here. That's great. So we do want to buy another trader. How expensive are traders? They're 280 gold. I wonder, do I have anything I could sell? Maybe a little bit of Diplo favor? Yeah, there we go. A little bit of Diplo favor. Now I can come over to... Now remember, we're buying all of our traders in the city that we won't be building a commercial hub in to protect them. Now, I think it's okay for me to get a campus now, but this city is about to hit its growth limit. So I do think it would make sense to get a granary to get extra housing and then make our way back for the campus. I think our major goal is to just be efficient with our time and our production and not to waste too much time on certain things. Celestial navigation is finished. We can finally place the harbor in this city, although we don't plan on doing that just yet. It would be good to have a trade route with Germany, and I think I'll pick Dortmund as my location. The only thing is that this trade route does go dangerously close to a barb camp. Hopefully that's dealt with before that happens. Oh, we managed to get Zhang Qian, and that will get me +2 gold from my trade routes to certain cities. Do a little bit of chopping here to speed things up. We'll get that watermill too, because there is a maze here. 2 food, 1 production is pretty respectable from a watermill. Oh, right, another luxury. Perfect. I definitely need more production from my quarries. It's something I'm missing a little bit. Shipbuilding completed. Excellent. And now we have mercenaries. Mercenaries feels like to me that I would really like to have Trade Confederation plugged in, but I can't really justify it right now. I'd probably want more traders. Maybe... I mean, there is an argument to be made for going for monarchy here. Merchant Republic, I think, just has too much value. And we will be able to go to 4 trade routes here to boost medieval fairs. Building 2 caravels. We're a little bit too far away from cartography, so we'll just have to live without that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and drop a great merchant in here. We have +1 trade route capacity. Can I sell something? I can sell some marble. Anyone have raw gold they want to give me? Looks like nobody has raw gold that they're willing to give me. Well, I guess I can get 36 from Kublai, but it's not quite enough. I want like actual gold. Well, I guess I can wait a turn to buy that trader. It's not that big of a deal. And I want that extra trader because that'll fill out my trade routes and get me that boosted. We do have the government plaza in Bogota. We're going to go ahead and get the audience chamber because we want the amenities and the housing. Again, we're going for a high amenities build, right? We're getting a 20% production boost in Bogota, as well as a 20% gold boost and a 20% science and a 20%, like 20% across the board is huge. We're finishing amphitheaters. That's fantastic. I could see some value in going for the watermill here, the long-term growth in production, but I do think that getting amphitheaters early is quite powerful. Unfortunately, we didn't hit any cultural city-states yet, but that will hopefully come later on in the game. In terms of what we want to spend this on, I definitely want to be Suzerain of Muscat, purely for the +1 amenity in cities with commercial hubs, just because that is worth so much. Like if I check my city screen, basically every city in my empire now is ecstatic, with the exception of a few, which means my empire is 20% more powerful than it should be. I could go ahead and start building up Liang for parks and recreation amenities. I don't think that's important enough. I think I would much rather have someone like Magnus and maybe appoint him in somewhere like Cali, where there's actually a decent amount of chopping to be had. So that seems quite reasonable to me. I definitely feel like this is a lumber mill tile because this city just doesn't have that many productive tiles, so we have to kind of preserve them. This is going to be a quarry. This will be a lumber mill. Sometimes you have to make non-chopping decisions, kind of, which are, you know, typically a little bit suboptimal, but sometimes you have to make that decision off the back of just like what's actually possible in your empire, which is totally reasonable, right? Because, you know, sometimes you just have to make do with just okay decisions. I will chop in here to get that market slightly faster, and I might even use the overflow to get a trader. No, I guess the overflow is best spent on a theatre square. The city isn't close to its housing limit, so that'll be fine. I'll probably go granary after the theatre square to get the city's infrastructure up, because it's growing quite well. It has really, really good food. Mathematics. So we have access to a Petra and Diplo quarter. I don't know if I'm going to go for a Diplo quarter early this game. I probably want it soon. Yeah, I probably do want it relatively soon. It's just a matter of where do I think I'm going to get it. I might get it in Cumana here. Diplo quarter right there. That seems like a good spot. I'm going to go ahead and harvest to finish that watermill. I'm going to place the harbour. And I think I would like to continue to grow this city, so I'm going to prioritize the harbour first. The trade district is typically what you want to go for first. It kind of represents the greatest value for the city, and also just for your empire in general in terms of your gold income and stuff like that. There's mass production boosted from building a lumber mill. Looking perfect. We got the monument in Popayan, and I never placed the commercial hub in this city. We do have the aqueduct placed. I would like to get the granary and watermill out, but it's not the right time for that, I think. I think I want to get a district placed. I think it could be reasonable. I think I want to go commercial hub first in here. And if I'm going to place a commercial hub, it's probably going... Well, here's the problem is if I place it here, I lose the really nice maze tile, because that'll be like a 4 food, 2 gold tile, which is very, very workable. Whereas if I put it here, it would kill any potential farm triangle-age I could do in here. And this would be a really, really nice farm triangle area. Like a whole bunch of farms would fit in here really nicely. So I think what we'll do, and then here is like a great hacienda triangle, you know? Maybe we could sacrifice one. Well, see, now I'm sacrificing 2 of my resources. So that's hard to do. I think I'm just going to put, I think I'm just going to put a commercial hub here. I think as much as that's not like a super optimal great location for a commercial hub, it's an acceptable location for a commercial hub, which is typically all you need. You just need the spot to be okay. Now, Cali, I haven't quite decided how I want to go forward with this city. It's probably going to be something like, decisions. I reckon we could just go with like a fairly standard commercial hub campus setup, like maybe like this. Something like this feels okay. I think I would accept a slightly weaker campus so that I can keep the two food, 2 production tile a little bit longer. So now that I've finished basically all of the builders that I was building, I probably want to pop out serfdom now. You know what? I'll pay the money. It's 65 gold. I can pop out serfdom and just plug something in the meantime. What to pop in? Trade Confederation seems okay. 3 food, 3 culture. Or 3 science, 3 culture isn't too bad. Panama, I'd planned to do campus. This is fine, I think. Yeah, here's fine. So we've got our campus and a commercial hub. Let's get to work on the granary in here because we want to grow the city. It's at its growth limit, so it needs housing. Things are coming along nicely. I'm liking seeing all this infrastructure getting worked through. It's a satisfying experience to see it all getting lashed up as it is. Now we have access to dams as well as medieval fairs. So I do want to place my dams preemptively to lock in their cheaper price. Boom. Dam placed. I think industrial zone is next for this city. And I think I also have a dam over here that I wanted to place like so. And then I want to place this industrial zone ASAP, just in case niter appears on one of these tiles, because floodplains are like notorious for getting niter. So we have stirrups, which gives our pastures an improvement. I think our next step could be niter. But maybe we got to kind of think about our mid game here. Like our mid game is looking pretty strong. Culturally, we're on par with the AI. Scientifically, we're a little bit behind, but that's not a big deal because we haven't focused on science at all. That'll come a little bit later in the game. We have audience chamber in a capital. Let's get to work on a theater square. We think about what my next tech is. The next major tech that I think I could go for, I mean, industrialization +1 production on mines is quite good. It could also be good to pick up gunpowder, but that would mean getting military engineering. Maybe I will get to work on education to get access to university so I can do that whenever I need to. Let's get another person. I'll go ahead and grab Liang. And I'll put Liang in my only coastal city of Barinas, and I'll probably see if I can do a few fishing boats and stuff like that in here. Let's appoint Reina as well and put her into ideally big old cities is what we want. Big old cities like Guayaquil and Caracas, because these are the ones that are going to benefit the most from having extra amenities from a governor. All right, another lumber mill. Great. We're up to 9 cities. 9 cities are ecstatic. So our entire empire is, with a 20% boost, right? That's as if every 5 turns, we're getting 6 turns worth of production. Just to put that in perspective. That's how good that is. It's really, 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 really powerful. I do need to think about what I want to do in Guayaquil. Transitioning to campuses could be okay. I will go ahead and place this. I'll get the amphitheater up. I do have a lot of gold in the bank, so I'm not sure what I want to do with that gold. I could come into places like Panama and buy a watermill. I could also theoretically buy musketmen and stuff like that to get a little bit of extra era score from these barb camps, and also just like gives me a unit that I can kind of explore the world with and maybe do some nonsense. I have a unit for every city, right? No, actually I don't. So I'm going to send this musketman to go defend Bogota. First theater square with 3 or more adjacency. I'm very, very happy about that. This whole muscle of culture and gold here has worked out really, really well for me. Let's take a moment to get the watermill, because this city is a little bit lacking on food. I think I may have to give up this dream slightly and do this instead. And then this city's going to need a farm triangle just because it's struggling to grow without a farm triangle. So that's going to be the next phase of development here. So I'm probably not far off getting a few more builders. In fact, I'm finishing off this round of infrastructure. So I do think another round of builders is like on its way. So that'll probably come maybe 1 or 2 civics after exploration. It kind of depends on where my empire is. Oh, he wants to sell me another great work. I will take great works. Like if I can get them, I'll grab them. Haven't really earned many great people points. Yeah, it's hard to compete, but I'm doing okay on great writers. So my culture will be well looked after this game, which will be nice if I decide to go for a mid-game war. Right, education is research. I don't really have much of a use for education. What I'm really trying to do is just delay niter for a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick up mass production. I'm trying to delay niter so I can get this city to 7 population. And this city's not going to get to 7 population as it currently stands without some intervention. I reckon I could yoink this 18 turns. It's too long. Yeah, it's going to need a farm triangle. So I think basically the second I get to the next government, I'm going to have to plug in the builder card and start making builders. Now, my science is being carried by my commercial hubs right now, but it will get worse. It will get worse in the next era, so I need to be considering that. So that's important. There's exploration. Let's go ahead and get Merchant Republic. And then with this new government, we're going to plug in the amenity card up here, and then we're going to plug in the serfdom card. Merchant Confederation is quite good. Colonial offices isn't too bad here for the extra growth, but I'm going to go for Merchant Confederation. That's a lot of gold. Do I want 8 culture or 3 science, 3 culture? It's actually quite a tough choice. Honestly, I think I want Republican Legacy. That's so powerful. That's 5 amenities across all my cities, and it will be more as rest of my cities build their first district. So I think this is a perfect government right now. I don't think I need Praetorium anymore. So instead I could plug in Charismatic Leader to get influence points. That seems pretty reasonable. And now I can safely spend my gold on builders to get a few of these like farm triangle things going. Need to just keep an eye out on cities that aren't growing, and Caracas is a city that's not growing. Let's go ahead and pick up guilds for the ability to get another governor title. And then maybe I will go for art museums or something. We'll kind of have a little think about that. We got Irene of Athens. So she'll give me another governor title or a governor. I will take that extra governor title actually, because I can use that to get Moksha, put Moksha into Caracas to trigger another audience chamber benefit. Place that commercial hub. We've got 3 districts down in here. This city is growing so rapidly, it's kind of insane actually. It's growing too quickly for me to be able to build things in it at a reasonable pace. And we're super behind on traders. So we've got our work cut out for us a little bit here. Let's get to work on that commercial hub. We'll come over here to Barinas and we'll buy another trader. I have I have 1 envoy. And I'm still suzerain of Muscat and Buenos Aires, which are the 2 that I want to be. I would like to get suzerainty of Johannesburg, but I'd like to maintain this suzerainty as well. So I'm kind of just sitting back and playing it safe. Actually, Muscat, influenced by Peter at 7. So that means I'm way ahead on Muscat, so I can actually safely go for putting a couple points into Johannesburg. I'm loving this game so far. I'm really enjoying this, how it's all playing out. We got our amphitheater. That's perfect. In terms of governor, plaza choice, intelligence agency is quite good here. Spies and spy capacity are quite useful. Foreign ministry is a little bit less useful, in my opinion, although it does give you a diplo favor, which is quite good. I don't really have the faith income to make Grandmaster's Chapel work, so I think intelligence agency is the best move here. If I decide to go for a late game war, we can do that pretty easily. And late game war might be the way that I win this game. Just go for nukes or something, or even just a science victory. I honestly, I think it's less about winning. Winning is just kind of like certain win conditions are kind of an afterthought. I could probably even go for culture here. I won't go for culture. I think it'd be more interesting to play around the military strengths of like a mid-game push with this guy. Now, I think I'm already trading with China, so it would be good to get a trade route with Russia. And these trade routes, they should get better over time, based on the roads being built. I don't think the roads have been built yet. Yeah, it looks like he's going to get there soon. And once that road is built, that trade route should be better. Because I think, I can't remember, I need to actually learn the full mechanics of how trade routes generate their yields and probably do a video on it. Because I understand vaguely how it works, but I've never actually sat down and researched it. So we finished our first harbour with 4 adjacency, which feels pretty good. And we have a campus in Cumana. Do I want the watermill? It would be a significant chunk of extra food, but it's not necessary right now. Let's get the library. I think getting our science up now in anticipation of losing all this extra science is the right move here. Another trade route from a lighthouse, of course. That's what I'm going to pick. And we can begin laying down these farms and telling the city to work them. I'm going to unlock some tiles here and make sure that we work all 3 of these. Although when I actually build the farms, I want to be efficient, not inefficient. In terms of trade policy, I reckon I'll target myself with a couple of votes. And then otherwise, again, I don't care. I'll just vote whatever the top option is when it comes to religious things. Yeah, Buddhism passed and I won. So I will get +1 trade route here, which is pretty valuable. Perfect. There's guilds. Let's go ahead and pick up another trader right there. Keep laying down those farms and making sure that we're working those farms. We want that food surplus. We want the city to grow. We got our amphitheater. We got our commercial hub fully built. Let's get our campus going in the city now. I don't think I have any empire-wide infrastructure that I'm particularly enamored with needing to build. Let's grab a Mani, and there you go, +1 error score from having a full range of governors. And I think if I were to look around at which city would be important to have a governor in, it's probably going to be Popayan. And I can only pick so many cities to have governors, and I think I have basically everything that is... Like, I would love to have Panama and Cumana to have a governor as well, but like, there's only so many governors you can get. I think we've hit them all. And so that's partially the reason why I say 7 cities is about the limit of tall, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 governors. And if you put a governor in every city, you're triggering that audience chamber benefit. So we're slightly beyond tall with 2 extra cities. That by no means says that we're not like still technically a tall build. Let's make sure that we are working these really, really good food tiles. So the city now has a huge food surplus, which is perfect. So it'll get to its 3rd district a lot faster now, which is what we want. Yeah, I think I'm going to open up a trade route with Sheffield. so that I can start trading with England. I want to have trade routes with every player, I think, in an ideal scenario, because that just gives you diplomatic benefits with every player. And that's really what you want. My question is it worth it for me to run projects to fill my great work slots? Really depends. What are we at? We're at Renaissance era great writers and it's medieval era. They're probably overpriced until we hit the next era. We are now getting close to getting mercantilism though, which means Hacienda time. And when it's Hacienda time, you know that it's also builder time. So let's get these traders out and go get some basic improvements done over here on the eastern front. Eastern side of my empire, not the eastern front. So we will be losing our golden age, which kind of sucks because you want to get as many golden ages as possible, really. But if I was to get a normal age, Renaissance is fine. Now, if I could get a heroic, well, I won't be able to get a heroic, but if I could get a golden industrial age, that would be really, really good. So we're looking for the most amount of gold that we can get. 12 gold for Buenos Aires is pretty good. Muscat is a lot too. Let's see, let's trade with Aachen. There's good money to be had in Aachen. Good money. Medieval era ends in 5 turns. I'm continuing to buy builders, or traders rather. We're just building infrastructure, toddling along, being very, very happy with ourselves. We're still maintaining 9 cities, getting 20% production boosts. There's mass production. I think this city is now 7 population, so I could place this industrial zone and now safely research military engineering and gunpowder for the quarry improvements. I would also like to pick up banking. Extra gold would be nice. Speaking of the city of Caracas, let's go for the industrial zone. That's actually a pretty good +5 industrial zone for 10 turns worth of work. That's pretty damn good as it stands. Let's grab ourselves the market in here. Looking great. Yes, market is the perfect choice. A market in Panama as well. Get that gold going. The gold is key. Because gold is like production. It's like production that you can move around your empire. It's production you can place. It's production you can stuff into whatever city that you want to. So think about gold very carefully. Let's get our diplomatic quarter going in Cumana. We want that for sure. It's about time that we get it. Probably not the perfect city to get it in, but sometimes you have, beggars can't be choosers. Sometimes you have to make semi-suboptimal choices. We have access to a spy now. So if we go ahead and search for commercial hubs to level up in, Aachen has a commercial hub. So we can go ahead and start doing gold stealing missions. It's a great way to get your spies to level up. And if that spy manages to level up, it'll be really useful for a war later on in the game. Bogota is probably ready to spam a few builders. So I'll get like a builder or 2 out of here. I could make an argument for a trader. I think builders are fine. We're about to get mercantilism. That's Hacienda's boosted. We got our campus in Guayaquil. We could place another district. And if we're going for a late game war, encampment could be the move. I don't see a reason to go for an entertainment complex. The city will already be hit by an entertainment complex. An encampment does feel like the move here. Question is, where do we place it and why? If we place it on this floodplain, it'll screw this farm triangle, but it would give an extra adjacency to this industrial zone, which I think is a worthwhile cause. So encampments are coming. We are looking for war. I think it would be kind of a boring game as Gran Colombia if you didn't actually go to war with their really, really cool benefits. It'll just be a little bit later than you maybe expect. Now, I do have to kind of think about what's our unique unit again. Right, military engineering, trebuchet, military engineer, niter. When do we get our, I think it's called the Llanero, industrial area unique unit. So we are kind of entering in to where maybe we'll do a Llanero push, maybe with military academies. Maybe we would like to get nationalism and mass media. So Llanero is a Grand Colombian industrial area unique unit that replaces the cavalry. It has almost no maintenance cost, right? If you compare it to this, 5 and 2 is nothing. It gets +2 combat strength for every adjacent Llanero and fully heals when in range of a commandant general that activates its retire ability. So we have a pretty strong push here if we decide upon a neighbor to attack. And I'm going to be honest with you, Russia is looking very, very vulnerable. Russia has only 50 science and 50 culture. They have really strong faith, okay gold, and a very small military. So Russia might be the target of our operations here. I want to avoid unlocking Corsair if I can. Yeah, so I want to avoid researching castles. And the reason for that is so that I can build a bunch of horsemen super cheaply to purchase upgrade into Llanero, because that's just like a cheaper, more efficient thing to do. So when I do that, I don't know, but it'll probably be in the not too distant future. In fact, maybe I should start getting ready for this now. The problem is I'm missing a great general, and I would want an industrial era great general. which means that in Guayaquil, what I actually need to do is to build an encampment and then start working encampment projects. So sometimes the shape of your game changes like in a split second, but it's for good reason. Okay, there's access to humanism. We can continue to push our culture up. Our science is going to dip now, which is a little bit depressing. It's probably going to half, honestly. I would be surprised if this was above 50 next turn, but that's okay. There's machinery. Perfect. It's actually 75. That's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. I'll be real with you. I thought it was going to be way worse. Let's go ahead and take... Am I building a lot of districts? I do plan on a few districts this era. Either monumentality or reform the coinage. I think I'll go monumentality here. I'll build a few districts. So we're getting ready for mercantilism. Let's start prepping the land. In the capital, I could go for another encampment as well. And I think 2 cities cranking out encampments to get that great general a little faster does appeal to me. Diplomatic quarter, perfect. Let's get the consulate. We want those influence points so that we can make friends with city-states and, you know, build up our relationships, all that kind of thing. Grab the market in here. Gold is king, okay? Now, something we could do in theory is to also just purchase a bunch of horsemen. 320 gold. I can purchase a horseman every 2 turns. I'll need a lot of Lanero, which means it's going to need a lot of horsemen. So there'll be a little bit of a moment there doing that. Your delegation is most welcome. I think I'm going to save gold to buy the buildings in here. We have access to the armory. So we're theoretically 2 techs away from military science. I'll talk you through my thought process next turn when we get to mercantilism. And we'll see what you guys think. Okay, there's mercantilism. Now, what we want to plug in here is we want to plug in maneuver. Okay. We want to plug in maneuver and equestrian orders just for a few turns. And we'll use our gold to buy builders so that we can start producing haciendas. And the reason we're plugging in maneuver and equestrian orders is so that we can spend all of these horses that we have on getting military units out, if that makes sense. Right now, I'm just going to buy a horse. I'll just buy a horse because the amount of horsemen I can actually get in total is going to be dictated by my horse resource income. So now I need to start pre-building them relatively early. We have access to mercantilism. That's a huge development. I could plug in civil engineering. I won't be. Well, civil engineering is quite good. Make building builders a little bit more efficient. Maybe we will. We got our campus in here. I'm trying to think what else we want. We don't want to build a commercial hub here. The city is, I think, in range of an industrial zone. I don't really need anything except maybe a theater square, so I'll just pop a theater square down there for culture. This city can justify building a horseman, for sure. Although, actually, I need the city to get me signed for the follow-up, right? No, I need culture. It's hard to know. I think I'll just get a couple horsemen. I want to be spending these horse resources ASAP. We got another Comandante General. Enemy units within 2 tiles lose 30 HP. That's an interesting one. And let's start laying down haciendas. We'll begin by purchasing lots and lots of builders. I also need to buy traders. So this is the power of having a lot of gold. It gives you a lot of flexibility in what you can and cannot do. So in Bogota, I want to purchase the stable and the armory so that I can instantaneously start generating more great general points. I went from generating 0 great general points this turn to generating 3, 1 from the encampment, 1 from the stable, and 1 from the armory. And I have a huge production line, and I can now start working encampment trainings to convert 15% of my production into great general points. And if I come to the great general screen, we'll be able to get Napoleon Bonaparte, who's an industrial era great general, who will fit with the industrial era unit that we plan to push with. So that works really, really well for me. I can't say the same for Guayaquil. However, I will work on a stable in here. That'll be a little bit slower, but it'll still work quite well. The alternative choice I have in the city is to wait for gold to buy the buildings and instead just go for encampment trainings. It's actually a perfectly viable thing to do. Let's go ahead and promote Liang with aquaculture. We want that one. In terms of deals, I would like to sell some resources if I could for raw gold. Raw gold is ideal here. Let's see, anyone want to buy my Diplo favor? Looks like people will. So now we have 700 gold in the bank, so we can buy the stable. So now we're up another great person point per turn and a little production. We got our market in Panama. That's perfect. Let's produce some builders across our empire. I also need horsemen. So let's get the horsemen positioned to the east with the Commandant Generals. We're going to want so many horsemen here. And here's our first Hacienda. Perfect. And look at that tile. It doesn't look impressive yet, but it will as time goes on. They will get stronger. Let's continue going for gold and city-state envoys. I'll get one with Valletta. If I could get Valletta up to level 3, I could take suzerainty of them, which is quite useful, because they allow me to purchase buildings with faith. In particular, they allowed me to purchase encampment buildings with faith. And so if I had enough faith, I could have done that, but I just didn't realize it. So Manuel is going to go ahead and relocate to Russia, I think. So I'm going to go ahead. Well, I guess I can safely do this. I'm not going to be attacking for a little while. So gain sources. Maybe my next spy will go to Russia while I build up this other one. Perfect. First industrial zone is completed. That's very, very nice. We definitely would like to get the workshop up. But this is also a great candidate city for building horses and traders. So let's keep getting traders and stuff like that. We want to maximize our economy right now for a particular end. I think this city is best off building builders for me. As much as I want this infrastructure, builders right now will allow me to build more haciendas. And haciendas are key to my gold economy. Another hacienda. This one is slightly less impressive until we get it up and running. So we're getting 9 horses a turn, which is a lot. We're going to have a massive horde of horsemen to send at the enemy. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead. And I hate to do this. I hate to spend the gold right now when I'm so hungry for gold, but I think it's okay to do. Horsemen. Continuing to spend horses as we build our economy. The problem is we weren't able to stockpile many horses, so this is a lot of horse resources that never got used this game. Let's go ahead and chop here. That'll get me another trader. I'll put that into Barinus. And there's a reason I'm putting them in Barinus, because they can't gold steal from there. Continue to build traders. Empire-wide infrastructure is key. It's always key to get things like your traders, your settlers, your builders. And that's empire-wide infrastructure. There's local infrastructure, which is like districts and buildings. And then empire-wide infrastructure are things like traders, things like settlers, things like builders, things like spies, things like nationalists or naturalists, sorry. So it's important to get all that empire-wide infrastructure relatively early because it scales off of your empire. It's very, very powerful. I can't get another horseman in here. Let's go watermill granary. The city needs a builder, actually. So we'll get to work on that builder. Trader in Caracas. Perfect. More traders. Just get more and more traders. Don't you dare jump over your cage. Hey. Yeah, I see you. All right, boom, another hacienda. So you can see these are 2 food, 2 production tiles. They're not amazing, but they will be. I just like trying to make use of things like haciendas, you know? Like they're probably not the greatest tile that ever lived, but it could be fun to use them. Let's use our gold now to go ahead and buy the armory in Guayaquil. And you can see now we're 13 turns from getting this great general, from cranking out projects, from just going absolutely ridiculously hard to get this. More horsemen are completing to be sent to the front line. I'm glad I have a road here that's making it easier to get to the western side of my empire. In Panama, I think you've already built the horsemen, so you can go for a watermill. You can also build another district. I don't think that would help. We got to do like a mixture of like right now stuff and long-term stuff. It's going to be like a nice mix. Or probably a simpler way to phrase that is short-term versus long-term decision making. We have to kind of balance that a little bit here. So we've almost got our trade routes maxed out, but we are continuing to get more and more traders available. However, Caracas has just absolutely cranked out those traders for us. And now look at that. Look at these tiles. 2 food, 2 production, 2 gold. These are like Petra tiles now. It's beautiful. So I think we pick up gunpowder. We avoid castles for as long as possible. We avoid castles for as long as we can manage it. We got the market in Quito. We would like to get nationalism. That's going to be our next goal. Let's grab amphitheaters to try and boost that. The acquisition of that slightly. The lack of a cultural city-state this game is hurting me because I do have a lot of amphitheaters. It would be a lot of extra culture if I'd been able to secure that. We aren't cranking at maximum happiness anymore, which is unfortunate. However, I think it's okay. Let's get another builder in Barinus. We got another horseman. Military units are also a type of empire-wide infrastructure. We're not quite spending horses fast enough, so we'll have to pick up the pace on horse spending. We are roughly managing though, because we get enough resources for a horseman nearly every 2 turns. Let's go ahead and plug in public works for sure. We're good with the way things are right now. Claim a great person. Your own trade routes to your own cities gain 0.5 gold for each specialty district at the destination. Not super useful because we're mostly doing international trade route, but that's fine. Go ahead and get me a horseman. It would be good to get Embrasure on Victor to get free promotions on some of these horsemen. In Quito, I think I am going to go ahead and move Victor to the city of Cumana. Well, I'm probably going to dedicate some amount of production to horses. I've got a bunch of gold in the bank. Have an alliance with another civilization. Okay, can I get an alliance with somebody? You know who I could do here? I could talk to China, get an alliance, get a military alliance. They would pay me. That will boost diplomatic service, which will get me to nationalism a little bit faster. That's perfect. There's also a decent set of haciendas here, but the city is already working like as many tiles as it makes sense to. Let's make these guys head over to the southwest, because where we need the haciendas are like in locations like this, where it really, really, really makes sense. Right, trader in Caracas finished. Let's keep doing that. Keep getting those traders. We're filling out our trade routes. It's all working out nicely for me. Panama managed to get its watermill. Definitely needs a builder in here, but it's hard to justify the work time to get one. Also want my theater square in here to get my culture up. No more horses for horsemen. Do I want a support unit in this war? It would probably be okay to get some trebuchets to turn into some bombards, but these bombards won't have access. Maybe I can just overpower with Llanero. That's my hope right now, because I am quite a bit technologically ahead of Russia. If I check this here, you can see Russia is behind me by about 4 technologies. So I should be able to hit him with Llanero so hard and so fast that he doesn't know what's coming. So hopefully that's the plan. Let's see, commercial hub. Yeah, go ahead and siphon funds, because the siphon funds is typically the best mission that you want to get your guys to do because it has the highest success rate. And the AI gets an 80% gold boost, which means you steal more gold from them. So it kind of aligns with all of your goals if you just want to get your spies leveled up. Let's go ahead and pick up banking. We're a little bit behind on Napoleon, but that's okay. I think if we start saving gold now, we should be able to buy Napoleon relatively soon. So I'm going to start banking gold for a great general. I only need one great general, but it is important that I do get a great general. That is very, very, very important. The reason it's very important is because you want to stack as many modifiers and abilities together if you're going to do a war. You don't half-ass a war. So he's 6,050 gold right now. Machiavellianism's done. Diplomatic service, okay. And now he's 5,405. So we are slowly getting to the point where we might make that happen. Let's go ahead and harvest here. We'll place another hacienda. Look at these beautiful tiles. Aren't they incredible? Got a horseman in here. Perfect. Keep producing horsemen. More trade routes with China. I'm trading heavily with China now for gold. Let's start placing some fisheries, because look at those fisheries, man. 4 food, 1 production, 1 gold. Those are really, 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 really nice tiles. I think you have self-sacrificed enough for builders. No, I think I need more builders, to be honest. More horsemen are finishing. Excelente. This city is struggling a little bit with growth. Let's go watermill granary to get an extra 2 food per turn. So I want to avoid... Okay, Russia is now building walls. They might be aware that there's a potential war coming, which is unfortunate if they do figure it out. Let's put some mines down in Ponyan. This city could also use growth. I'm going to go for the watermill granary build as well. That eastern side of my empire is a little weak. It needs to be propped up a bit. To be fair, this half of my empire was settled late compared to the western half, so it does make sense that the east is a little bit behind the west, where, you know, these cities were settled a little bit later than usual. Okay, banking is finished. We can get banks if we so wish. I love having extra movement on my builders. It honestly feels amazing. It just makes the whole process of like preparing for a war and stuff really, really nice. Like even improving your infrastructure with faster builders feels great. Put a mine right there. I think it's too soon to research castles. I would like a lot more horsemen than this, but there is a limit to how long I can delay this. I think it doesn't make sense to begin this research until I have a great general. Once I have a great general, I'll start researching this. But until then, this is kind of like I'm just prepping for war. Next turn, here we go. Nice to meet you. I'll need to build some horses here, unfortunately. The price of Napoleon is now down to 4,580, much more attainable. And if you could see that, because the way the prices and stuff is starting to line up, you could see how a lot of the decisions I made earlier in the game are kind of feeding into this game state. Let's go ahead and build a horseman here, and we'll build a horseman here as well. Just trying to get those down to a reasonable price. We probably don't need the second one, actually. We can continue to work watermelon here. More traders finishing. We're looking oh so damn good right now. I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. Everything is amazing. My industrial zone got pillaged. Oops. Oops. More builders from Barinus. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of... Let's get 2 more for now. We're getting them so fast, it's hard not to continue. Enlightenment is excellent. We've got a horseman. There you go. Another horseman is going to be coming out of this city. Nationalism is 12 turns away. We can start combining horsemen together. That's actually really good. That's really, really good. Fill policy slot. We could plug in liberalism. I don't think that's what we want to do right now. I think trade confederation is quite powerful. 11 science, 11 culture. Triangular trade is also super powerful. By the way, 44 gold per turn. I would love to have Strategos plugged in, because that's an extra 2 points per turn. It's not that good, but it's okay. Ooh, this is a tough one. Do I want gold and faith? I think the gold and faith gets me closer to the Great General. I think that's the reality of the decision. Now, it's worrying that Napoleon is going to go here. My big fear is that all of the great generals will be gone before I get a chance to get one. That can happen here. So we do need to play it close to our ear. We need to play it safe. We need to be careful. To keep our eyes and ears open. Be watchful. That's why I'm checking. That's why I'm checking this every single turn to see if I could be the one to snag it. It's how important it is. Okay. Napoleon went. It looks like Jose de San Martin is next. I am top of the food chain here. I think I might be able to get this guy next turn or in one more encampment project. So that means I could stop these encampment projects and actually start building improved horsemen from here, because the horsemen I build from these cities will earn 50% more experience because of the stable and the armory that are in these cities. So that's a big, big advantage there. Let's go ahead and get a spy in Caracas. Remember, empire-wide infrastructure like spies are important. It'll be important that I have a spy in one of these back cities, providing me with diplomatic visibility to get me the extra 3 combat strength. It's also important that I have printing researched, which I do, so that's good news. Nice. I harvested a little bit of food, and that pushed Guayaquil up to that 15 population number. So you can see here, because I haven't crammed all my cities together, these cities are working a huge amount of tiles. And that's how you play tall. You space your cities out a little bit further, and then you focus on getting really, really good growth and really, really good land and lots of tile improvements. That's kind of like the play style. And it seems to be working out really, really well for me as it currently stands. Nice. We managed to steal gold. And with that gold steal, we actually secure the industrial era Great General with gold, which is... Now, if you imagine, when you're preparing a timing attack, there's like 3 essential parts of the timing attack. There's like picking the right unit, there's pre-building, there's getting the Great General, there's getting buffs on those units, there's acquiring the pre-builds, you know, all the convergence now is coming together. Nationalism is coming in, so we'll be able to combine units together. So the Courser is like 4 times more expensive than, or 3 times more expensive, 2.5 times more expensive than the Horseman. So I'd spend a lot more production if I wasn't building Horsemen here. So that's why, even though it looks kind of inefficient and weird in the way that I'm doing things, trust me, it's very, very efficient to do things the way that I'm doing them. Okay, we got an amphitheater in Quito. I don't think we want to go further than that. Encampment would make sense, I believe. So I'll place that encampment. Wow, this city actually has so many districts available to it, it's kind of absurd. I don't think it makes sense to build that many. I mean, unless we wanted to do an industrial zone here. No, that's a silliness. That's a silliness. Focus on what matters, which is getting more tiles improved. Boom, Hacienda, Hacienda, Hacienda. Look at these tiles. Bro, look at these tiles. Going to go ahead and level up my spy. Disrupt Rocketry is a good one. I don't think these other 2 are very good, but Disrupt Rocketry is a good one to pick up. It's like, you're not going to run those other projects, whereas I could see some utility in running the other kind. The nice thing about Gran Colombia too is when their spies promote, they can still do a spy action. You don't have to wait. Unfortunately, my trader is going to die over here. Not the end of the world. It's okay. We'll lose a couple traders. So I think now I'm going to start banking gold and waiting to combine Horsemen at nationalism. And then when I have nationalism, I think that's the trigger for me to start researching military science and also to maybe get some military engineers for roads. So we'll kind of see where we stand. But as it stands, we've managed to do some incredible empire development. We've got our science back up to where it was before we lost the golden age. We're technologically on par with some of the AI. We're behind others, but culturally, we're well ahead to be able to take advantage of nationalism. And usually if you're going for a cultural play, that's usually kind of indicative of some kind of war play if you're not going for tourism, and we're not going for tourism this game. Like, I haven't set my empire up for it. I've set my empire up for war. So a tall early game into a war on a weak neighbor seems pretty reasonable. The trouble we're going to have is with walls here. So I might have to think about bombards as well. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.